So an interesting fact is that I was duck diving this wave over here. You can see my bum sticking out of the water. And I had no idea that you were going to do a huge air over my head. What's the trick? So knees up, create space.
It makes the board go higher. Like if you ollie on a skateboard, the higher you jump, the higher you get. So you want to aim a little bit higher on the wave, and you don't want to do a quick bottom turn, just a nice, long, soft one. Higher on the wave so you don't burn off all your speed. You can turn on the way up, and as you're hitting the lip, you're turning and pushing it out in front of the wave.
What's up with the landing?
It's a lot like a suspension of a car. You've got all of that to coil up. As soon as the board hits, I just start to activate that suspension.
Would I be right in saying that you're softening so that there's no tension?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just absorbing that landing.
Hey guys, it's Drew here from Urbn, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how I did this Air 180 at the advanced setting wave at Urbn Surf. But before we do that, let's head over and break it down with a video analysis with Clayton.
Welcome back to another session with Drew and myself. So an interesting fact is that I was duck diving this wave over here. You can see my bum sticking out of the water. And I had no idea that you were going to do a huge air over my head. I actually thought you were going for a re-entry.
Yeah.
So I think in the pool, the simple section that you could potentially do a re-entry off is the same section you could potentially do an air off.
Yes.
Because it's one of the few places where the lip actually throws.
Yeah, so you see the wave pools that have the air ramp that they've created, and that type of situation, that's when you can anticipate it, you can look for it, and it's coming and you're going to get it. It's a lot easier. Whereas this wave doesn't have that air ramp coming towards you. It has a tiny little crumbly where the wave's dying. And if you get it wrong, if you do anything wrong, you're not going to have a chance to do the air. And I was discovering that on all of my attempts. And so that's when I just went, okay, back to the drawing board. I'm just going to surf now. And I just started focusing on doing good turns again.
Let's break this down because this is actually pretty phenomenal. So I noticed that when you bottom turn, it's quite a light, gentle bottom turn. It wasn't like the heavy crank that it's like, bottom turn, do an air. The height that you get there is absolutely phenomenal. What's the trick?
Yeah, the trick is just how you see the guys on a skateboard when they get air, they bring the board close to them. They tuck their knees in.
So knees up, create space.
It makes the board go higher. Like if you ollie on a skateboard, the higher you jump, the higher you get.
True, I noticed something else. When you went up, your head's not perpendicularly on top of the board. Most people in the air, they're kind of a bit flat and their head's like up here.
Yeah.
Right? What I'm noticing is that your board's there and your head's there on the up.
Yeah.
That way, it's a lot easier to bring your knees into your chest and still keep your trajectory going. Do you notice that you huck your hands towards the beach?
Yeah, to get to that, a lot of that is right here in the setup. As I'm coming up, I'm already starting to rotate the opposite direction with my arms and my upper body.
So without the actual air, if you just looked at the top half of your body, it's very similar to doing like a re-entry. See the hand positioning?
Yeah.
Except that you just created so much space by bringing the knees into the chest.
Yeah.
On the landing, I noticed that you're very soft, very gentle, very casual, arms up high. What's up with the landing?
Yeah, so the landing it's a lot like a suspension of a car. You try to have the full extension as you can when you land, so you can see my legs are really straight right there. Anytime you land in air, if you can land it with your legs really straight like that, you've got all of that to coil up. As soon as the board hits, I just start to activate that suspension.
Would I be right in saying that you're softening so that there's no tension?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just absorbing that landing. If you got peg legs and straight legs, you'd almost just penetrate the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of like landing on eggshells.
You want to be as weightless as you can.
Yeah.
Let the board.
I see a lot of guys do airs where they just like starfish airs and they just kind of land wrong.
The hardest part is that first initial land, and the board's got to hit the water and it's got to start sliding again on the surface. So once it starts to move, that's when you can kind of relax and go, okay, I'm riding now.
You almost want to go 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay, because if your fins aren't sort of landing that way, if they're landing anywhere side of that, the board will flip.
Yeah.
But if you land your fins perfectly 180, they're going to cut through the water and fit better.
Yeah, totally. It has to be in line with the direction you're going. And then as soon as I could feel the boards riding and moving, that's when you can go, okay, now I can start to transfer weight towards the fins.
Awesome, thank you.
Tip number 1 is timing and speed. To do an air, you're going to need a lot of speed, and your timing has got to be spot on, because when you hit the lip, you need all of that speed at just the right moment. If you race on a wave to get to a lip, you might do it a little bit too early. By the time you get to the lip, you might be losing speed and you don't have enough to get up and high. So my tip would be time it so that you're coming out of that powerful part of the wave and your bottom turning as the lip is presenting itself. It's going to send your body and your board high above the lip. Tip number 2 is doing a long, soft, high bottom turn. So the easiest way to think about this would be to compare a snap with an air. So to do a snap off the lip, so your target's the lip, you want to do a bottom turn at the bottom of the wave, so you've got plenty of time and space as you get to the lip to transition your body and hit the lip in the right way. Well, with an air, you need to do this also, but you need to go higher than the lip, so your target is way above the lip. So your bottom turn is going to be higher than the bottom turn that you do for a snap. So you want to aim a little bit higher on the wave, and you don't want to do a quick bottom turn, just a nice, long, soft one, higher on the wave, so you don't burn off all your speed. And then as you get to the lip, you're going to be halfway through that bottom turn and extending as you're hitting it, kind of like a skater when he's setting up to jump into his ollie. So as you hit the lip, you'll continue up through the lip to your target, which is up above the lip. That's how you're going to get the height to get your body and your board up in the air. Tip number 3 is projecting out in front of the wave. So in small waves such as this one, you're not having a lot of speed and a lot of power. So you're never going to be able to have enough speed to really do a really big air, like a big straight air, and get your body up high above your board. So that's why I'm doing a 180, an air 180 on this wave, because essentially you're throwing the tail half of the board up and above you. You're not having to put your whole body up on top. You're rotating and pushing it out in front of the wave so that you don't land over the back of the wave. You can turn on the way up, and as you're hitting the lip, you're turning and pushing it out in front of the wave. And that way you can send the tail half of the board up and around, and you're using your front foot as the center point of the circle. You're rotating it around the front foot, and you bring it back underneath you and land backwards. Tip number 4 is staying above your board. So as you're going into the air, and as I said, you're pushing the tail of the board up and around, and you're projecting it towards the beach in front of the wave. But as you're doing that, you need to be sending all of your body weight forwards with your board and don't get left behind. That way you can stay over that front foot as the board spins, and you can land on top of the board. You don't want to be leaning back and be left behind. Tip number 5 is a soft landing. So a lot of people, when they visualize this air, they only kind of visualize the spinning part at the start of the air. They just forget about the landing and they just hope for the best. It's good if you can visualize yourself landing. That's kind of what I do for a lot of airs, is I visualize myself landing it before I even start to visualize the start of the air. That way you're kind of prepared for what's going to happen next. You don't want to just keep spinning and keep rotating so that when you get around to that point, you're still doing this and you're out of control and you're not landing it straight. What you want to do is stop rotating. And by that I mean you're rotating and spinning hard throughout the air, and you want to stop it so that you can land nice and straight as you're landing. You want your board to be riding backwards, straight down the wave. To do this, you can be spinning, and you can, instead of keep looking this way, you can be spinning and you look towards the beach or look down sort of towards the tail of the board, and that could help to stop the rotation, and you can ride backwards that way. And keep all the weight off your fins, soften down until you feel your board start to ride again. And once you feel like you've got a bit of balance and control, riding backwards, you can add a little bit of pressure to the fins and then you'll spin around and ride out. So if you've got any comments or questions, or if you've got any other airs that you'd like us to make a video about, let us know in the comments and have fun, and we'll see you in the next one.